Welcome to the Warriors and Wardens podcast, formerly the Origin Keynote podcast. We are dedicated to sharing the lived experience of military and first responder communities from Australia and around the world. I'm your host, Tom Brown. Enjoy the show. Right, g'day boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of the Warriors and Wardens podcast, formerly Origin Keynote podcast. Today I've got my first firefighter. We've got Josh Alpen. Welcome, Josh. How you going, mate?
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
All good, bro. And I was on your podcast not too long ago. I can say that, can't I?
You can. You definitely can, mate.
I was like, no, good, yeah. If you haven't seen that episode, go and check it out. You waste 2 hours of your life. That was 2 episodes, wasn't it?
We split it over 2. You talk that much shit.
I told that many lies, made up that many stories, yeah. There I was, surrounded. And is this your first potty, bro?
It is,
on
mate.
the receiving end?
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Very different.
Yeah. It is a bit, eh?
It is. Asking the questions to receiving them is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to fucking get into it. Mate, obviously you've heard the potty, man. You kind of have a similar theme to mine, basically just like a very linear style lifestyle, your life story kind of thing. So we'll rewind, man, go all the way back to the beginning, bro. Obviously Alpen is a German name. I guessed that before we did the podcast. One guess.
One guess, yeah. Mate, so I grew up in Canberra. Don't judge me for that. But
Canberra, worst city.
I can't disagree. I can't argue, mate. It's I grew up until I was about 19 and then moved away. Had a fairly normal childhood. Had a younger sister. Mum was a public servant, no surprise there. Dad was a bricklayer. Like I said, pretty normal kid. Probably the same as most of your guests, most of our guests. School was not my strong suit. You know, my report cards read, easily distracted, needs to apply himself, class clown, all those sort of wordings came up in my report cards. So yeah, I just like being outside, hanging with my mates, doing all the kid stuff, you know what I mean? Being riding bikes, just all that sort of stuff. Up until, like I said, pretty standard childhood up until the age of 10. Mum and dad split up. And then we sort of went through that whole parent alienation, family court, messy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up is because it'll, what happens in childhood generally rears its head sort of later in life. And I didn't realise it at the time. It's, as a kid, you just normalise what you go through. But it wasn't until later in life that you go, well, this has sort of affected me a bit. So yeah, sort of lived with mum from the age of 10 until just after the age of 15. Left there and moved in with dad because I was legally allowed to. Up until that point, like I said, just going through that court system and the family court stuff.
At 18, sorry, you said you went...
No, 15.
15, sorry.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So I think the age was always 14 and a half or something like that. I can't really remember, but it was just past 15 that I just said, no, I'm out, going to go and live with dad. That wasn't met with great enthusiasm from my old lady. She's out the front throwing all my shit out the door, going, see you later. Don't forget this. Fuck off, take that, whatever. So, funny enough, that happened to my younger sister 2 years later as well. So yeah, it was, like I said, at the time, it's sort of, you don't think too much of it, but it sort of comes back later in life. From there, moved in with dad. Schooling didn't get much better for me. I didn't start magically paying attention or enjoying it. Like I got through it okay. I was never bad at school. Like I wasn't failing or anything like that, but I just didn't really enjoy it that much, apart from hanging out with my mates. In Canberra, we sort of go through, in the public system, we go through 3 schools. So we do primary school, high school, and then college is year 11 and 12. So got to year 11, and that's the same as year 11 and 12 anywhere else, you got your two pathways, like uni and I guess not uni, just going through to get your year 12 certificate. Naturally didn't choose the uni pathway. Surprise, surprise. So basically I was just going there and mucking around with my mates. Got halfway through year 11, got my P's, lost my license pretty quickly. So I was catching the bus to school, and that didn't last long.
It sounds like me in my 20s.
Yeah. So at that point I was 17, obviously got my license, and the bus trip, I was like, fuck this, I'm out. And like, why am I staying here? I'm not going to uni. I'm enjoying hanging out with my mates, but it just felt like I was marking time a little bit.
Yeah.
Wasn't really going anywhere. So left there. But my old man always said, you can leave, but you got to go to a job. So I went and started working with him in construction. So I was a brickies labourer at 17. He was adamant I wasn't going to be a bricklayer because the natural progression there is you start as a labourer and start laying bricks and progress that way. It's not really, at that stage, it wasn't really like a formal apprenticeship. So he was happy for me to go into construction, but not follow his same path. So found a plumbing apprenticeship through the plumber who worked same builder that I did. Did that for 2 years. That brought us up to about 08 GFC time. So we started running out of work. So I'd go and do 2 hours in the morning with the plumber, and then I'd go and fill the rest of my day in labouring as a brickies labourer. And then, once again, that sort of was a bit like marking time. I wasn't learning much in my apprenticeship, and sort of my old man went, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, you're making good money, but it's not probably where you want to be and what you want to do." And with the GFC and the downturn in the economy, he said, "Why don't you go and join the Defence Force?" So, oh yeah, yep, that sounds all right. So went into recruiting and did that whole process. Initially was going to sign up for artillery. Just had a look on the website. Biggest guns looks like the most fun. Like,
yeah,
why not?
That's how it goes, eh?
Yeah,
What's the best picture I can see? Yeah,
pretty much. Luckily, thank fuck I didn't do that. I had a good family friend at the time. He'd just gotten out. He was a EOD tech. So I went and sat down with him, and obviously he was pretty biased towards the engineers. And he said, "Mate, go this way." And he said the other thing, go engineers. You can finish your plumbing apprenticeship as well. So after having a chat to him, went back to recruiting, shuffled my preferences. There was no spots for tradies or anything at that point in time. So recruiting said the same thing he did, essentially. He said, go engineers. You'll be able to transfer relatively easy once you're in. So I was due to start, I can't remember the exact date. Went through that whole testing process, got all the list of jobs, all that sort of good gear. From memory, I got most jobs on the testing, not that it mattered because I was going engineers anyway. That's what I wanted to do. But I'd hurt my shoulders working. I was back labouring pretty much full time. I'd got tendonitis in both my shoulders just from the manual labour lifting. So whatever that date was, I can't remember from memory, but I had to get put back about 3 to 6 months from memory. I was just doing extensive physio and strengthening through my back and all that sort of stuff. So I was good to go. And then eventually joined October 2009.
nice.
Yep. Went through all the training, as you know, Kapuka, initial training for engineers, which is at that point in time was at Moorebank.
Yes.
Yep.
Before
they moved over to Holsworthy. So that's a similar time frame to Kapuka. It was 3 months Wagga, 3 months in Moorebank. And then from there, like every other IAT training, put your preferences down. I was lucky enough to get the one that I put down, which was Townsville. I just wanted to get as far away as I could from Canberra, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just looked at the map. Brisbane, Townsville's Townsville's, let's go and have a look at that. So
And was this engineers like I don't know what the term is, or is this combat engineers?
combat engineers, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a difference, by the way?
Nah.
Okay.
Not really. So not for digs. Like the Corps has qualified like civil engineers and construction engineers and stuff like that, but diggers are just combat engineers.
Okay. Yeah.
Essentially,
Gotcha.
yeah. But there's other roles within the Corps. Like they've got tradies, plant operators, combat engineers. They did have like geospatial engineers, but yeah, it's pretty diverse. The Corps, they have a lot of different jobs, but for me, it was the combat engineer stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
up to Townsville and into the unit, which was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that all happened relatively quickly. Once I was in, not a lot of time between initial training and IETs. There was a maybe 3 or 4 week window there. We're in holding platoon, but pretty much straight into it and straight up to the unit after training. And
Which unit was up there?
3 Combat Engineer Regiment.
Is they call it 3 CER, right?
Yeah, 3 CR.
Yeah, right.
Yep. So
Yep.
there was 4 or 5 of us from our course that marched in. When did we march in? It must have been 2010, early to mid 2010. Marched in there and basically straight on X. We got put into 16 troops, 16 squadron I was, and the regiment had just come back from mentoring Task Force 2. So that was...
Oh, that was a decent trip too.
Yeah, they lost... it was 1 RAR. They lost Benny Renato, I think. So yeah, it was an interesting time to come into the unit where they'd just come back and had a fairly decent trip. Just see these guys walk around like fucking demigods, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, look up to those. Yeah.
just been there, done that as lids. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Some cool dudes. On the flip side, there was also, I guess it goes with people coming back from trips. There's some negativity and some complaining and stuff too. Like it was just an interesting time to come into the unit. You're keen and you're green and all that sort of stuff. So, but mate, I loved it. I bought into. I drank the Kool-Aid, of the army like we all do. It was awesome, especially coming from, the difficulties with family.
Yep.
I guess I didn't realize at the time, but it sort of felt like another family, right? Like it just all got each other's backs, we're all helping each other, and that's sort of what it felt like. And I think that's why I drank the Kool-Aid and enjoyed it so much. But yeah, mate, so Townsville, march in there, straight into, from memory, I think it was, we did like a CO's challenge type thing, 3 or 4 days where they're just, pumping you during the day with physical activities, keeping you up in the nighttime, writing silly fucking essays and shit,
Yeah.
doing all the war stuff. It was awesome. I think the 2nd or 3rd day, I can't remember, I busted my ankle pretty good doing an obs course, which was pretty frustrating. Being new and keen, you don't want to be the injured guy. You don't want to be the linger. So, partially tore most of the ligaments with one of my feet. Sorry. So it's a bit annoying going down to rehab instead of doing troop PT and all that sort of shit. But rehab that fairly quickly. Like most of us, probably come back earlier than I should. But you want to get involved and you want to be part of the team, right? So. Managed to come back and go on, can't remember the exercise. It was one of the bigger ones. It might have been like a talisman sabre or a hammer or something like that.
Yeah, Canada or some shit. Yeah.
Shit like that. Yeah, I think it was a 4 or 5 week X or whatever.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Why are they so long?
4 or 5 weeks of sitting in the bush.
Yeah.
But again, at the time, first one was awesome. Just eating it up. Loved it. Come back from that, and it was pretty much, that was towards the end of the year. That was maybe, I want to say, I'd a guess, an August, September-ish type thing, maybe a bit earlier. Pretty much come back, and then the Orbat came out for MTF3, which was coming up in 2011. once that All-Back came out, we pretty much just shift focus to training and the build up for that straight away. So they said that basically 18 Squadron was the one to go, but our troop were being attached to them because they didn't have enough number, whatever. So essentially, just start refocus on that and start looking at doing courses and getting ready and making sure we're good to go for that upcoming trip the following year. And that looked like some guys were doing driver courses, some guys were doing language courses. I got on a combat first aid course or CFA course.
Nice. Good one to have.
Oh, it was unreal. Awesome course.
I never did it myself, but I sort of wanted to, eh?
It was unbelievable. And we had some awesome instructors that just had awesome experience. It was really cool. I think we might have been, one of the last ones to be able to cannulate each other. I think they stopped that at some point. So,
okay.
That was, it was really cool. It was a good course to have, really enjoyable. And then my timeline's going to be a little bit messed up here, but somewhere in that period in the lead up, we got attached to 2RIR as well, because it was 2RIR were the battalion that were going. And we obviously did all the lead up with those boys, all the MREs, all the exercises and build up exercises and whatnot. For us as engineers, we also had to do a certification exercise as well, separate down in Woomera. So they'd take us down there and we'd spend a week getting certified to be able to deploy for our search techniques, which was pretty stressful. You just, every day, mate, they're just watching you like a hawk onto you. And quite a high number of dudes didn't actually get through, struggled for numbers in the end. Like, they were not afraid. If you weren't up to scratch, they just cut you.
Because they'd lost a fair few dudes already by that stage.
Yes.
2010 in particular.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
There was, the two boys, Snowy Moreland and that, and there was a couple of others as well, I think. So they were, it was no joke, man. They were pretty staunch on it, and rightly so. So there was a big failure rate. They were testing not only the searchers but also the lance tracks in a 2IC role and the corporals in a search commander type role as well. So they just assess everyone in all those roles. If you pass, get the tick. Happy days, you can deploy. If not, obviously can't go. So that was in and amongst there. And then, like I said, doing all the other MRE stuff with the 2RIR boys. I distinctly remember we were attached to Bravo Company. We did went out on one of the MREs. I think it was a 3-day thing or whatever. And it was the first exercise we did with them. And we walked in, and there's this little fucking shanty town at High Range, different structures and stuff for training. And we harboured there overnight. And we said, do you want us to be part of the picket, whatever? And they're like, no, you fucking pogues, you just stay in the middle and have a sleep. We'll take care of this. Oh, yeah, no worries. Suits us.
Sure.
Yep.
That sounds like a good deal.
Sounds good to us, mate. And anyway, we fucking woke up in the morning and the motherfuckers forgot about us. They'd fucking packed up and fucked off and left us there.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, they legit forgot about you?
Yeah, legit, yeah. We'd woken up, after a full night's sleep and looked outside and no one there.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So they organised to come and pick us up in the vehicles and marry back up with them. But yeah, it was it's a funny little thing. Like, I hope this doesn't happen in the fucking desert.
Yeah.
It was a funny little introduction, starting to work together and that. But the boys were awesome, like always really professional and that. But that was just a funny little introduction, I guess. So
yeah, 100%. Imagine doing that overseas, like, hey, we need this route cleared.
Yeah. But no, it only got better from there. Obviously, we worked pretty closely together and built relationships after that. And I also think too, like, it was probably a little bit difficult because you can't simulate our training that well, right? Like if you, in those exercises, if we're getting out to search for things, it's probably, like, put the shoe on the other foot, probably pretty boring for the boys too, just sitting in the back of the vehicle going, what are these fucking Muppets doing out front? You know what I mean? And so I can sort of get that, where it's not really contextual for them until we get overseas and start seeing how things roll and I guess like why we're there and all that sort of stuff. So I get it.
Yeah, but it's also realistic.
Yes.
Like you'd be sitting in the back of the vehicle for hours,
Yeah, exactly right.
Or maybe an hour, while they just search a fucking, what do you call it, Winthrop Point?
Vulnerable points.
Vulnerable point, yeah.
Yeah, and Winthrop's for area search.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, very good.
That's the only bit of terminology I remember from engineers. Winthrop Point. No, I have no idea what it means.
Yeah.
I still don't. It just means area search?
Nah, so a Winthrop point is essentially like a known descriptor for enemy to like locate a cache. So it's like if I was to explain to you, like if I was to say, hey, Tom, I've hidden some shit down your backyard, I'd have to pick somewhere or a notable feature or something to send you to. I go, oh, you know that big ghost gum you've got down the back?
Gotcha, yeah.
Go there, turn right 50 meters, and that's where it is. So the Winthrop point would be your that big ghost gum.
Point of reference, yeah.
Yeah, it's a point. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. So, that's what we'd be sort of looking for in an area search. To go, well, if I was hiding my shit, how would I, and I'm hiding it for someone else, how would I explain to them?
Yeah, it's in the middle of, take 30 paces to the middle of the open field. There's nothing, half a turn left.
Yeah. Well, that's why that Winthrop point exists, right?
Yeah,
It's the biggest fucking rock in the valley, mate. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
So now you know what a Winthrop point is.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, mate. So I said that the lead up, that took us from that later part of 2010 all the way into early to mid 2011. I think we started deploying into there May, June in 2011. We got in there the 17th of June, middle of summer. It was fucking hot. Dubai was fucking hot. Like, just remember getting off the plane and just like punching you in the face with the heat. It was, incredibly hot. Thought Townsville was hot, but it's got nothing on.
I might be making this up, man, but when I got to UAE first time, I'm pretty sure it was 57 degrees Celsius.
Yep.
Because then I was like looking up, what's the hottest temperature ever on record?
Yep.
And I think it was like 60 something maybe in like some place in Africa or something. So I was like, okay, 57, that's reasonable.
That rings a bell because I think same for us. I remember going and doing that RSO and I at Dubai, and you go out on the range and do your fire and move and all that sort of shit, and it was mid to high 50s as well. Yeah.
I'd never felt anything like it in my life.
No. But yeah, mate. So 17th of June, drop into Dubai for a couple of days where we do, like I said, a bit of medical training, bit of stuff on the range, a bit more ID awareness training stuff, and then bump from there into TK, same thing, pretty much the same package, a little bit more ID stuff, a bit of time on the range, and then we were, I think we drove out to Durawood, so Fob Hadrian, which is west of Tarankap.
Hadrian, yeah. I never got there.
Well, yeah, it's been since demolished. It was demolished not long after we left there, actually. I think the next rotation or two might have got rid of it. But we drove out there. It was actually occupied by the Dutchies not that long before we got there. They'd bugged out, but it was a fairly substantial base. It was the second biggest to TK, I'm pretty sure, from memory. It had a gym. It had a mess. Like, it was pretty well fit out. We had internet, phones, all that sort of stuff. So it was running toilets, working showers. So it was good.
Nice.
Stayed there. I can't remember how long, but I don't think it was too long before we started going out on our nursery patrols with the boys from MTF2. I think they took us out on 2, just show us around a little bit. We our Orbat was substantially less, I think, in terms of the engineers than those boys. So we had one section attached to the combat team. We split in half of 2 bricks. So we had 4 go out to a small patrol base in a valley called the Tangi Valley. So it's sort of, I guess, Tarankout. If you look at Tarankout, directly east was the Tangi Valley that tracked west towards Hadrian. And there was a patrol base there that we sort of had a presence there for the entire trip. And then our brick, we went with one of the other sections or one of the other omelets, and we just floated around the rest of the AO, essentially. We had Afghan bases to the south, and then a couple to the north as well. So we did a couple, nursery patrols up north, and then the MTF2 guys bugged out, and we sort of took over from there. Started getting into it.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm still hot as fuck.
Yeah. Do you reckon it was like hotter in AMAB than it was in Afghan?
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon it was.
Yep. I reckon, but we weren't working as hard as what we were in AMAB, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. Like in AMAB, you fucking, run down cribs, they're on fire, dragging casualties and stuff, and in the gear, just walking a lot, stopping, having a break. Walk through a river, cool off or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
But no, it's definitely hotter in AMAB.
Yeah. So, obviously, just winding it back a bit, you were talking about, sick of school, normal sort of pattern of behaviour that our kind of guys show, which obviously lends itself to those kind of jobs, in my opinion. And sometimes, we can overinvest in this identity that we're chasing, sometimes not, right?
Yep.
So for you going into a job like that and then deploying relatively quickly, because it took a few years for me to get my first deployment. Yep. What was that like? Did you go in there thinking deployment, or were you just the army? I just want to do something, and if I get a trip, then great.
I knew there was a chance of it. Before signing up, I knew it was on the cards. Like speaking to my mate who was an EOD tech, he said, there's a likelihood there. But mate, I was so naive to it. I just didn't know enough about it, and I couldn't really contextualize that either. Like, oh yeah, that's great. Sounds like a good adventure. Blah 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 blah. Like, it didn't really mean that much to me, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, oh yeah, it is what it is. If it's part of the job, cool. It wasn't till IETs that was like more. I guess it meant more to me because the instructors had all just come back. They'd all deployed, and they're like, you boys will all deploy. Like, there's no if, ands, buts. Like, you'll most likely all be over in Afghan in the next. Some of you will be there in the next couple of months. And they were right. Some of the boys that didn't go to Townsville, they were straight on a trip within a couple of months. So it was then. It was like, okay, and they really emphasised that through like our search training in IETs. They're like, guys, this is. We're going to do some more theatre-specific stuff with you rather than general stuff because we know that you're going to be heading there. So it started to really sink in then, and then once that Orbat rolled around, it's like, it's happening. But to be honest, man, even because it happened so quick, I still had a level of naivety to it, even until it took getting over there and essentially getting blown up to go, fuck, this is what it is. Even up until that point, mate, it was an adventure, and I was loving it. It was awesome, and just naive, I think, and probably because it was that quick, and as well, like, it wasn't some guys dream of this since they were 5 years old, and for me, that wasn't the case. I was never growing up going, I want to be a soldier. I want to do this. I want to do that. It wasn't like that for me. So maybe that sort of played into my naivety as well. Don't get me wrong. I loved playing in the bush and playing army men growing up, like most young boys, but it was never like, I really want to join up.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the question I was asking, Rod. Do you feel like you maybe, not overinvested? That might come later, but yeah, you had a significant investment in it, but I guess you maybe you didn't have that much of an investment in terms of identity and what you were looking for. And
I think in terms of that, I bought in very, very quickly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but more so, it's probably that drawing of like that belonging sort of aspect. You know, like this is, I guess, like I said, those childhood challenges. I sort of found a bit of a not a remedy, but like another sort of second family.
Yeah.
And that's probably where a little bit of that investment came from, more so than I've always wanted to be in the military type thing. That makes sense. Like,
Gotcha. You weren't chasing the thrills, so to speak, of combat and,
yes,
fucking shooting someone or.
Yeah, exactly right, man. But I was all in when it was sick.
Yeah.
And it was just happened like rapid fire too, man. Like I said, it was good.
Yeah.
And it's completely front loaded, and it was a lot of fun, man. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
And I just want to touch on the childhood stuff just very briefly before, because I want to ask about the again, obviously. You were talking about parental alienation.
Yep.
Obviously, you went to stay with your mum.
Yep.
That's probably a fairly typical thing to happen, right, in terms of custody.
Yep.
So you and your sister, you said,
Yep.
with your mum.
Yep.
And that was 10, and then you didn't move into your dad's place till you were 15.
Yep.
Was there any contact with your old man in that time?
There was. I feel like it's pretty sort of standard playbook. Like, he always wanted to see us more, but it was an hour, an hour every second weekend or whatever, and you do that for like however long, and then you can go to 2 hours, and then you can have half a day, and this is over a period of a couple of years, right?
Shit.
And like within that, obviously we knew, and I was at 10s, you obviously don't know everything that's going on, but you've got a fair idea too, right? So
yeah, it's like a 2-year-old or something.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I distinctly, remember talking to Dad always when we'd see him, like, why can't we stay longer? Like, what's the go with this? Why do we have to go? Like, whenever we saw him every second weekend, it'd end in just fucking tears because we didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Like, Dad, what are you doing, mate? Like, why can't we spend more time with you? And he was always quite honest and open. He never bagged mum out because she's our mum. But he was also very open about the court process and the reasons why. He's always, I'd like to see more, but it's against the law. I can't do it. And later in, not when we were 10, but later in that sort of whatever you want to call it, later in that process, he would actually show us the court orders and say, look, these are the things that we have to abide by. So what it did do, naturally still love mum and all that sort of stuff because she's your mum. She's the paternal sort of caregiver and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't realize this till later, but it's instilled like a sense of betrayal almost, having that understanding that the person who should be looking out for you, the person who should be looking out for your welfare and your well-being and providing you care is the person who's also causing a lot of this hurt through the court system. So, and through, not allowing us to sort of see Dad as much as we'd like and all that sort of stuff. So like I said, it's like this sort of this betrayal almost of like, how could you do that to your kids? And now that I'm a dad myself, it sort of like strengthens that even further because my daughter is coming up to similar age. My kids are coming up to similar ages to what me and my sister were when all this went down. And I just look at them and go, like, how could you keep your kids from either or caregiver? And naturally, I'm people who are violent, dangerous, unhealthy for the kids. Obviously, goes without saying. But that wasn't the case here. Yeah, if you pose a threat to your kids, obviously that's a completely different story. But yeah, I look at the kids and go like, how could you sort of stop them from seeing their parents, that their other parent? Like, it's just, it doesn't help anybody. It just hurts. Obviously, it hurts the other party, but it hurts the kids more probably.
Yeah.
And I was speaking this on our podcast last week to a guest. She went through something similar, and it's also fairly common in our space as well. Like the amount of guys who have a childhood that's full of adverse events or traumatic events or whatever. Like, it's unfortunately really common for our community to be having those experiences.
Yeah.
Like, you're the same. You've had obviously your childhood trauma as well.
Yeah. Was your dad a good man?
Yeah.
Is still around?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't think I was going to spend as much time on this, but this is important, I think, man, because like you said, this is so common. Your dad's obviously a good man. Your mum's obviously probably doing what she thinks is right.
Yep.
Right? I'm sure there's a lot of fucking resentment in there. There's baggage between them, right? And as a 10-year-old, you're not privy to that. And you obviously, you understand that there's a sense of injustice happening here, right? Dad's a good guy. I didn't see him hit mum, me, whatever the
that's it.
accusations were. I'm sure there's plenty of that. But did it look like there was a playbook for each, even at say 10 years old? Like, you could see maybe mum was doing X, Y, Z, and then maybe dad's got his own, because, and I'll put this in more context, it seems like to me, and I've only ever observed this, the playbook for the mum, I'm just going to use the bad mum, good dad alienation example, right? I know there's variation there. It seems like the playbook for the mum is, accusations galore, throw the book at the dad, a whole bunch of unfounded stuff he's got to fucking disprove, burdens put on him. And then the only playbook seems for the dad is just play the long game, just be a good dude, be there for my kids when I do get them, and just fucking bide my time until they're old enough to understand and they come back, and maybe let them see what mum's doing or what's really going on. Is that kind of how you viewed it?
Pretty,
even in retrospect.
Retrospect, definitely, 100%. And I've spoken to enough other guys who have been through something similar. Like, there was definitely a playbook there. Put in the whatever they are, the AVOs, those sort of things, and then accusations, and then drag it through family court, whatever. That definitely looks to be the case. Retrospectively, at the time, mate, like in the beginning, no, I didn't know what was going on. But as the time went on, and then my old man shared more information with me around the court orders and what's happening, and then that's when it sort of clicked that, okay, this is a thing. It's what's happening. Especially as I started growing. There's a big difference from a 10-year-old to even say 12, 13, 14-year-old in terms of your like capacity to understand things and question things. So as that sort of developed, I was like, what's going on here? Like, Dad's, from everything I could see, he's trying his best. He's wanting to be with us. He's wanting to be in our lives. He's not a fucking deadbeat. Like, why? What's going on here? You know what I mean? So it sort of did start to click later, but not initially.
I mean, obviously you're a dad now. You've been through this as a kid, and you've seen enough of this. Do you like? What do you got to say to dads out there who are going through this right now? And I'm sure that people that listen to this maybe listen to Broken Fathers podcast or whatever. Yeah. Like, what would you say to someone like that's going through this shit right now? That's they've got the false accusations, or 1 hour with their kids every fortnight or less, whatever it is. Like, what do you say to that man?
I would say hang in there, and I would say that the truth will prevail eventually. and things will come around. Things will come around. So for us, and I'll give you my example of this, is that, like I said, I moved out at 15. My sister did the same a couple of years later. We both have a great relationship with our dad, and we both estranged from mum. So, and that's our own choice. Like, I tried to have a relationship with mum, it hasn't worked. And so things will eventually work out. That's what I would say. Just hang in there. And the system seems like, I've listened to, like I said, Broken Fathers podcast. It seems like the system's broken. It's not really geared towards, sadly, in a lot of cases, fathers. But yeah, I'd say just hang on.
Yeah. And I've only listened to that one, the first episode.
Yeah.
I couldn't do more.
Yeah.
I barely got through that, mate. I was a wreck.
It's tough, eh?
Oh, dude, the way he told the story, and he was just so out there. And it seems to me, that that's kind of the outcome. Typically, they'll go back to dad and be like, "Hey, Dad, what happened? Like, you seem all right to me, and then maybe they do get estranged from their mum. Not that maybe that's what should happen or you want to happen, but I feel like that's what does happen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So. Like, the harder they try to hold on and make this case for that they're the best and that the other one's the worst, just slips through their fingers eventually.
Well, I mean, kids are not kids forever. Right? Kids. And like, I've realised this through being a parent. Kids are not fucking stupid, mate. Their bullshit meters are up there with the best. Honestly, you can't. It's hard to bullshit a kid, And eventually they'll grow up and they'll make their own opinions and they will work out. They'll ask questions and they will make sense of their childhood. At the time, whatever you're going through as a kid is normalised. It could be heinous shit. It could be a beautiful childhood. Whatever it is, that's your normal inside that house at that time. But once you grow up and start talking to other adults, you'll then piece that together. So, for the dads, hang on. But or for any parent, if they're going through a separation, it's just don't use your kids as fucking pawns to hurt the other party. Because it might work to hurt the other party, but it's hurting the kids even more. Like, they're the ones that lose out more so than the fucking parents. So it doesn't matter what party you're in. It doesn't matter what's happened between you two. Don't fucking bring the kids into it. If you can, leave them aside, leave them out of it, and then let them have access to the parent if they're safe. That's the
obviously, yeah.
That's,
and I guess even if there's someone out there that's telling themselves a lie and they believe their own lie, you can't convince them otherwise. It's just like, hey, don't use the kids as a weapon. Oh, well, he's a bad guy. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But I guess the thing on that though, mate, is like, your opinion is they're a bad guy, but to those kids, he or she is their superhero. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you say about them. Like, they look up to them. So don't take that away from them, because every kid, again, safety, notwithstanding the safety stuff, every kid deserves to look up to their parents.
Yeah. I heard this saying like ages ago. It was that your kid's going to work you out one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. I genuinely, man, I had this moment and I was like, that's so true. Like, it's obvious, it's self-evident, but I was like, and this is a time when I was struggling to be a dad, early days with my oldest. And I heard that and I was like, yeah, she is. She's going to work me out.
Yep.
Yeah. She better work it out that I fucking worked my ass off and I did something, that I'm a good man, a good dad, and a good partner. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm glad it worked out for you, old man, bro. That's, I thought that was important to talk about, man, because, and I'm sure you'll bring it up again later if you will, but yeah. I just wanted to get through that, man.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. Yeah, unpack that. It's,
Yeah, as you know, man, I'm big on the childhood stuff because, my experiences, and I just see it all the time, and it's just so common, man.
Yeah. It has such an impact on who you are and how you are as you progress through your life. And I think it's a good point to bring up and good to talk about that, because I think maybe it's not well known. It's like people don't really look back to their childhood that much and go, oh, actually, maybe I feel this way, or maybe this triggers me, or maybe I do this because of the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
And that's not to lay blame on your parents or your upbringing, but sometimes it can be helpful to point to that and go, oh, that's why I do these things.
And it's not even necessarily trauma. Maybe you didn't have a traumatic childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
But that kid who you were, formed the adult that you are now.
Yes.
It can be good, bad, and otherwise. Everything about you comes from there. So, I think that's another assumption people make. Maybe, like, oh, look at my childhood. I didn't have a traumatic childhood. Hey, maybe not. Maybe it was great.
Yeah.
But that's the foundation of who you are. So go and find out who you really are.
Yeah, exactly.
The concentric layers, so to speak. Yeah, anyway, thanks for...
No, it's all good. Yeah,
while I fucking bumbled through that. I essentially just butchered your childhood in front of you.
Nah, it's all good, mate. It's all good. I probably should have spoken about it a bit more.
No, it's good. No, it's all right. And mate, we'll skip ahead, obviously, to Afghan,
Yep.
to Raywood, in Fob Hadrian,
Yep.
And getting blown up. Could you just give us the rundown about what sort of was the daily, weekly, monthly life over there for you, in terms of searching, regular pattern of life, et cetera, et cetera. Did you have a missus at that time as well?
I did. Yep. I did. Yep. So we'd been together before I joined military. So not that long, probably 6 months or so, 12 months. And at the time, she was a little bit apprehensive about it. I think she was probably less naive about it than I was. But she came with me to Townsville. So I had her back home. But yeah, man, day-to-day life. So like I said, we had one team out east at Carib, and they would they'll be based there and do foot patrols into the Tangi Valley daily. But for us, like I said, we're a little bit more mobile. So we would drive from Hadrian. This is most of the time. We found a little home at a place called Sarab. And now that was a fair way. It's probably 3 or 4 hour drive northwest of Hadrian itself, sort of right on the border of Uruzgan and Helmand, right up sort of the top corner. We would base ourselves there. There was like an Afghan National Army compound on one side. There was an ODA compound, which is American SF on the other side. And then there was this empty mud brick compound in the middle. So we would go up there and essentially inhabit that for, I would say, like anywhere from 5 to 10 days, depending on how much food and water we could carry. So day to day, we'd head up there. It'd take us 3 or 4 hours to get there. That time got less and less the longer we spent doing it. It was pretty safe. There was checkpoints, Afghan National Police checkpoints all the way along. So we
very safe.
We took it as
no
safe.
chance of getting ambushed there.
Well, that would rear its head later in the piece.
Yeah, okay.
But the first trip up there, we were out searching, and then we realised, it was relatively safe, and we would drive without having to search as the months went on. It's pretty well safe. So, 3 or 4 hours to get up there. And then from there, we would leave first light and pick, just targeted valleys and stuff. We'd sort of drive to the valleys of choice of where we're going to patrol that day. And for us, so we'd be the lead call sign, being the engineers in the convoy. Any vulnerable points or anywhere we were channel choked or we had no other options, our search commander would sit in the front left-hand seat of the vehicle, and he would be essentially working with the crew commander to stop the vehicle whenever we had a vulnerable point. We'd dismount 2 searchers and the search commander, and we'd just essentially roll through that vulnerable point, search through that, mount back up, and then keep going. For us, we would then get to that valley, and we'd be searching into the valley, search the vehicles into an overwatch position, generally at the mouth of the valley, because we couldn't get that far down. And then we'd go on foot patrol. We'd do like essentially a rolling area search all the way down the valley. And then we would finish the patrol, mount back up, search out of the valley, head back to our lovely mud brick koala. Rinse and repeat. And because we were out and back, we learned a very valuable lesson very early on. We had to search in and out everywhere. So the boys from MTF2 on that handover patrol took us up to Sarab, and they said, look, here's this area. We haven't really spent a lot of time here. We haven't, we know, like, these valleys are rat runs over into the border for Helmand. We haven't spent a lot of time up there. It might be worth you guys having a look. So we did exactly that. Picked out this valley called so Yamane was its name, and the first time we went there without them, so we went up there. Those guys left. And we're like, right, that's where we're gonna go back there. First patrol, bit of rolling area search. Found a kilo of wet heroin and a firearm, and then went down to the closest koala, enrolled this bloke, bio-enrolled him with the fingerprints and shit. We thought we were rock star. Fuck yeah, first find, yeah, we're busting drugs, finding weapons. We're fucking mad cunts,
Yeah.
And that was sweet, right? Went back.
Did you nab the dude?
We didn't nab him. We just enrolled him. So
Gotcha.
Because we couldn't pin him. He was in his koala or his house. But the shit. So what they were doing, they were hiding it up the re-entrance
in a Winthrop Point.
Ooh, yeah. Well, it was at the base of a big fucking rock halfway up this re-entrant.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, we all thought everyone was fuck yeah. All the boys were pretty happy. We found something successful first patrol on our own. Cool. So what do we decide to do? Naturally, we'll fucking go back there. So the second time we went back there, same thing, searched in, but this time the boss, the Omelette operational mentoring liaison team.
Yep.
He was a captain from 3 Hour, awesome dude. He said, well, we're going to go patrol further down the valley, try and set up a Shura, have a meeting with the
cousins.
Donahue. Captain. Donahue.
Yeah.
And
because I was me and a bunch of guys were supposed to go on that trip.
Right, okay.
With 2 Hour.
Yep.
We didn't. We got canned.
Yep.
But a few of our officers and maybe a couple of sergeants, whatever, went.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it was Captain Cousins.
Yeah, okay.
Some other guy. I don't know.
We had 3 Hour captain and a 3 Hour woe too as our omelette commanders.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, both great dudes. Great dudes. But yeah, as I was saying, he sort of wanted that Shura. So let's patrol down to the end of the valley and set a meeting up with all the tribal elders and the whatever, the mullahs and that. So we did that, rolling area search all the way down. I distinctly remember we stopped for a break, sat down and took helmets off, and the Terps went and got us some grapes off the local bloody grapevines, and we're just sitting down there, fucking talking shit, hot as fuck, hot. Sitting there munging on the local grapes, and the next minute, fucking the rounds start cracking off, and oh shit, fucking put helmet on real quick, and we'd split the call signs at that point. We were either side of the valley, and the boys on the other call sign had actually seen there was a 2 to 3 man group that were sort of shooting at us, and then so naturally we just followed them up, kept going down the valley. I think from memory, our call sign, we jumped into like the dry creek bed and just followed them down as far as we could down the valley until they squirted and we couldn't see them anymore. So from there, we then turned around, patrolled back. Said hot, really, really hot. Boys started running out of water, drinking out of the aqueducts.
Oh yeah.
We're all like, by the time we got back out of the end of that valley, everyone was fingered. I remember jumping back in the vehicles, and we started driving out of the valley and sitting in the back of the PMV. So usually, because we were always hopping in and out as engineers, we'd sit right at the back. You have your rear gunner out the turret, and then we'd be sitting next to him, filling those rear seats. And I distinctly remember sitting in the back, and you can see sort of out the front window of the PMV. If you turn your head, you can have a look. And I just thought, fuck, we should it feels like we should probably be out here swinging the mine labs. But I was, didn't think too much of it. I'm like, search commander, he obviously knows what he's doing. That's his job. So put my iPod in and tighten my bloody seatbelt down. And I just remember looking around at everybody. Everyone was just cooked. Everyone was we had only just left the valley and everyone was like half asleep. Just fucked. And next minute, it was just fucking dust everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. I don't actually remember getting blown up. That makes sense. All I remember is not being able to see, like the dust was so thick, I couldn't see my hand in front of my face, and people just yelling. Like the crew commander was yelling, our search commander was yelling, and I was just, what the fuck just happened? Like I don't think I lost consciousness, but I just don't know what happened. And from there, I could just hear my search commander, because our drills was, if that was to happen, we need to get out and search, do a, search for secondaries, all that sort of stuff. So me being the closest to the door, I'm still not entirely sure what the fuck was going on. I just heard him say, "Get out, do your 5 and 25." That was our initial action.
Mm-hmm.
Grab the mine lab, open the back door, and so to the right there was a fire because our diesel tank had been blown off, and it was like literally like standing on the back step. So on the back of the P&B, there's like that grid back step. I was just standing on the back step, still sort of not really with it. There's a fire there. On the left-hand side, there was the other bin got blown up, which was full of our lithium-ion batteries out of our electronic countermeasures, and they were venting off. It was going, psst, 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 psst. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? It was like Armageddon. There was a hole, like the crater was right in front of me as well.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so because we were driving, it had hit us underneath, pretty much under the crew commander's spot.
Yeah,
It lifted the front, and we'd gone over the crater. So, like I said, fire, crater, fucking batteries venting off. So, in my mind, I'm going back in the car. It's fucking way safer in there than it is out here. So I went back in and closed the door. I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on out there, but I'm safer in the armoured vehicle than out there.
Yeah.
And in that period of time, the crew commander had jumped out on top of the roof, and he'd looked down and he'd seen that one of the bins that hadn't been blown off was on fire, and that was the bin that had all of our 84 mil.
I was going to say, don't tell me it's 84 in there.
Yeah, all the HE. So he gets back in and he said that. He goes, our HE bin's on fire. Get the fuck out. And I just remember that we had the Terp interpreting with us, and I opened the door, jumped out, and then I just watched him run. Like, I've never seen anyone run so fucking fast. Straight back down to the vehicle behind us. And then from there, we all pushed away a little bit, and then realised it wasn't as bad as what we thought. And then from there, our job was to go back in and make sure and clear around the vehicle, make sure there's no secondaries, that sort of stuff. Which is, it's all well and good in theory, but when you're clearing or searching around a vehicle with a metal detector, that there's bits of metal all over the fucking ground that's just been blown up.
Yeah, it's just going, woo.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I remember I'd turn the cunt off, turn the metal detector off, and just walked the lanes up and down next to the thing. Because something that I think everybody did as an engineer over there, we would always step on our metal indications, or we would always, if we had something that we didn't find or we didn't dig up, we would always make sure it's safe by stepping on it before anyone else would. So something I know all the other boys would do as well. It was a weird thing, but we just did it. So
spoken about, pre-arranged, or
no,
you just individually were like,
that's what we did.
Yeah, I've searched it, I've done X, Y, Z, next thing I just step on it because if it's going to go off, better be me than them.
Yeah, exactly right.
Jesus.
If it's good enough for me, it's good enough for them.
Yeah,
you know.
shit. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's speaking of the boys, after we got back, a lot of them, everyone did it. Everyone did it. So, and I didn't even think about it, to be honest. At that point in time, I was like, fuck it, it's not working. I'm not going to find anything. If there's a secondary under all this metal, like I can't dig every bit of metal up. What am I going to do? You know, and I'm not going to tell someone it's clear, have one of the boys walk up and then watch them step on a device. Am I?
Yeah.
So we cleared that, and so we learned a couple of lessons that day. You know, one was that we had to search back out every time because essentially what they'd done was draw us in to implant the IED on the way out.
Yeah.
The other one was we didn't take any gear with us. So we had no packs, we had no sleeping gear, we had nothing essentially. We had when that happened, we had an A&A vehicle because they're pretty loose. They like to ride on the roof and the bonnet and shit. When the explosion went off, they jumped on the brakes, and then some bloke rolled off the front in front of the vehicle, and then apparently he's hit the accelerator by accident. Fucking run over him. So he's in a pretty bad way. We had to get a medevac for him to treat him, put the 9-liner in. Then the bird comes out to pick him up. Meantime, we're also trying to change the tyres on the disabled vehicle so we can try and get home. So change the tyre and then tow it back.
Yeah.
We got that done and it was dark. So we just started to do a bit of night search to try and get back, get the MBGs on, and we knocked that on the head pretty quick, just because of the risk of searching at night time. So
especially if it at that stage had you known that it was a come on, that they'd drawn you in so they could lay them.
No, I think we worked it out pretty quick. And we knew there was highly likely there was going to be more. So they said, nah, fuck it, we'll call it a night. We'll stay here. And I've never been so uncomfortable and so cold in my fucking life, man. Like, it was a mid-50s day, but sleeping in your body armour in, like, those fields when I don't know what they do to them, but they look like a Smith's fucking crisp, after they sow them or whatever. And then if they don't tend to them, they go real hard. We'll sleep in the middle of one of them.
Because they flood irrigate the rest of the time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, we had to sleep there overnight with nothing, just in the body armour, sleeping on the fucking hard dirt. And then the next morning, the ODA guys came out and got us. And as it turned out, there was a second device. There was another anti-tank mine.
Shit.
Yeah, that they'd found on the way in. So it was probably the right call, definitely the right call to sort of stay there and go the next day. So, yeah, that was second patrol into that valley. That was it was a couple of weeks in country.
Yeah.
And like I said to you, mate, that was the point where the naivety stopped. Like, okay, this is what it's about. Because up until that point, awesome adventure, great training, fucking busting drugs and finding shitty weapons, and it was sweet. And then next time, boom, sort of, all right, here's the wake up call. You're playing for keeps, and this is what it's all about. So
yeah, far out. And did the trip continue that way?
Yeah, so we overall, I guess it's for us, that was our world, is dealing with IDs and stuff like that. So we had a few more strikes on our course line, not on our vehicle, but on the second, third cars and stuff like that. And then we had plenty of other like fines, ID fines and stuff like that. The cool thing about that is, what do you do when the Taliban gets one up on you? Well, you go back there again. So we went back a third time. We got obviously got a new vehicle. Ours was fucked. And then we went back there again. However, that captain from 3R come up with this fucking awesome plan. We did pretty much, it looked like to the Taliban we did the same thing. we went to rock into that valley again. But this time they'd organised a team of 2AR snipers, 30A snipers, and I think a pair of 2 commando snipers as well. They dropped them off early. They went up on the high feature, and we just basically were the bait. We went and did the patrol, blah 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 blah. And they did the same playbook again. Old mate came out to place an IED, and unfortunately, the 3 sniper teams all had a good crack, and fucking wiped him out. There was 3 blokes. They smacked one of them, and they said the other 2 won't be living too much longer. So that was a really, really good day for us. Like I remember did the patrol. My mate found a cache, and which was like another anti-tank mine, which would have been used for another IED. And as we found that, came over the radio that they just slotted these dudes, and we were just like, "Fuck yes!" Like it was, mate. It was so good to get one back. So had to patrol back out and deal with old mate and the IED that had in place there. So that time was not a pressure plate. So the first one was a what we call victim operated. It was a pressure plate. Essentially, the vehicle runs over the plate, sends the charge through to sends an electrical signal to detonate the main charge underneath the vehicle. This one was targeted at us specifically. It was a directional fragmentation device, remote controlled, sitting in the bushes. So essentially, we'd come searching back, and then they hit the remote control, and essentially it was just like think about like an artillery shell type thing. Just pack it with explosives and nails and whatnot, and then put a cap on the end, and then boom, it just sends a directional blast to wherever it's pointing. So yeah, deal with that, and then get out of there, and we're all pretty happy with ourselves.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, mate, it essentially it continued fairly similar. We had those interactions pretty consistently, particularly with the IED stuff. Yeah. So,
nice. Well, not nice.
Well, mate, it's that was our world. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And the actual blast itself, when you were in the bushy, any injuries come out of that, whether yourself or other people? Just a few people shaken up,
and the rear gunner had a burn on his forearm from the diesel, because the next car back said it pretty much what it looked like from them was just engulfed the car in a big fireball, because it blew that. It was right where the diesel tank was, and I can't remember how big they are, but there'd be a few hundred litres easy. But yeah, for the rear gunner, he just got a bit of a burn, and that was it. So,
yeah, lucky man.
Yeah, those vehicles were fucking awesome.
Yeah,
really, really good. I think Beacho, our crew commander, I think he whacked his tailbone, because they're standing up out of the cupola, they get blown up and then sucked back in with the overpressure. So he got knocked down. I think he just smacked his tailbone like on the floor. But other than that, we're all pretty good.
Yeah, so, lucky man. Yeah, lucky. Yeah, because I know a lot of drivers break femurs. A lot of guys out the hatch get fucking ejected.
Yeah.
Break legs, arms, that sort of stuff. So yeah, I had a couple of mates of mine happen to them.
Yeah.
One of them smacked his mouth on the 58, lost his front teeth. Yeah. Another one broke both femurs on the steering wheel.
Oh man.
So yeah, it can get nasty, those things, eh?
Yeah.
It's lucky, man. Lucky.
Yeah, we got very, very lucky. Yeah. And same with all the subsequent ones too. Like I think a couple of the other ones was like the rear left hand wheel hit it. So we'd gone over, and then the second vehicle, which was at that point in time, that was the EOD vehicle, and it must have just been a matter of like their wheel track was over, 100 mil, and clipped it, but it was underneath the rear gunner, and he, pretty minor injuries, but he just like busted a few bones in his foot, busted his hip, all that sort of stuff. Same sort of deal, being that rear gunner. But we got very lucky, very, very lucky. No one was ever like seriously hurt. So I think a lot of it goes to those vehicles too, man. Like they're very well designed.
Yeah. For that type of stuff, 100%.
Yeah.
Not so much Ukraine, I don't think.
No, no,
Hit it with the
Yeah.
fucking, tank round. It's not gonna.
no.
A V hull can do what it wants.
Yeah, well, maybe maybe they shouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. But no, 100%, man. That's so lucky, dude. So lucky that V hull did what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
And then after that, what about so contact with enemy in terms of like gunfights? Is that regular, semi-regular? I mean, and as an engineer,
Yep.
do you get to take part? That type of stuff.
Yeah, look, so we they certainly weren't an everyday occurrence. There was a couple of larger sort of contacts that we had in different places at different times. Plenty of like harassing fire, plenty of we get a bit when we're on the road actually. Just you'd be searching and you just pop, whatever, and just keep rolling. But the big ones, they were not as frequent. Like our main threat was IEDs for sure, man.
Yeah.
And that was our world too. But like in terms of like participating, we would lead the patrols, and then essentially, that was for that IED threat. And then as soon as we got contacted, Mine Labs away, and then but the boys they'd take over. That was their bread and butter, man. We knew where we stood in that regard, but we'd certainly sort of help out. But like I can think of, there was one of the larger ones down the end of the Tangi Valley, and we were searching a compound, and we'd found A&A vehicle had been struck by an ID in Overwatch position, so they were managing the injuries up there. We were searching adjacent compounds. We'd found a dude in his house with componentry, and then they started contacting us. So the boys went and got after it, and then we had other jobs, man. We were searching landing zones and all that sort of stuff. So in short, it was infantry boys that were taking care of that.
Yeah. Still cool to be part of it though, right?
Oh man, yeah.
Even just if it's over there, you know what I mean?
Oh
yeah.
man, it was sick. It was cool.
Yeah,
it was really
sweet.
cool.
And at that stage, obviously, you've probably seen SF, American, and Aussie a few times.
Yep.
That ever cross your mind? Ever sort of go, oh fuck, you know what? I might come back and
For sure, man.
do some cool stuff.
It did. I think like most young diggers, that thought crosses your mind. I think everyone has those aspirations at some point. For me, it was I don't know if they'd changed names yet or not, but it was SOA at that point in time.
Yeah. Of course. I always forget about SOA, dude.
Yeah.
Whatever last SOA, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly where they were in that naming phase, but that was certainly in the early phases of that trip. It was like, fuck yeah, I'm enjoying this. I might give it a crack. But that sort of diminished over the duration of the trip. Because there was a few different things that happened that sort of on that trip, through the duration of that trip, it was I guess jaded me a little bit. A lot to do with there was a number of odd things. So like I think while we were there, Bin Laden was taken out.
Yeah, 2011. Yeah.
Barack Obama had announced, I think it was Obama. I can't remember. Actually, I can't remember who the president was, but they'd announced the withdrawal. So it was like 2014. Like it wasn't not the full one, but the scaling back.
The drawdown, yeah. I think that was Obama.
Yeah.
Because he was there when they killed Osama.
Yeah, so it would have been him. But so he'd announced that drawdown in 2014. And while we were there, there was this, I don't know how true it was, but there's this sort of rumor circulating that the day that we left, they'd lose a third of the A&A army straight away. Within 3 months, another third would be gone. And, within 3 to 6 months, they'd be wiped out. Well, we know how that played out. No, it didn't take 3 months.
3 months?
It took fucking 3 days. But it's sort of like when that's your mission, right? When all that sort of, you put all that into the melting pot, like, well, what's the fucking point? Why we hear the mission sort of loses a little bit of validity when you know that we're leaving, that the partner force is, we know what standard they were at, and we're like, there's no fucking way they're going to be meeting any sort of standard that's acceptable in 12 to 18 months' time.
Yeah.
That made it a bit tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, because when I was there, I think, we're the last guys out at some of the patrol bases, and we pull back, and I never thought about it, to be honest. Maybe I did, I don't remember, but it wasn't a big thing. But interesting that was the big thing, that was, what's the word I'm after? Obviously, I haven't had much fucking sleep, so I'm struggling to use my fucking English. That would have had a significant impact on morale.
It did, and there was a couple of other things that impacted morale as well, and that was the leadership.
What?
Yeah. Look, and I'm sure everyone has similar stories, but before we left, I think Chris Smith. He's done the rounds in social media recently. He's like the Deputy General Defence Army or something at the moment. He's right up there. Anyway, he was the CO. He released this document, basically just shit canning the whole task force, saying that we're all sloth-like, lazy, fantastical. I don't know how to say that word. My English is shit too, and I've had a full sleep. But like basically just calling the task force one giant bag of shit, saying that we're ill-disciplined. We've got way too much free time. Like it's pretty poor, man. And
is this the same guy that right now he's like, we need to start taking the job seriously because we've lost contact with what war's like?
That's the one.
Shut up, you fucking idiot.
That's the one, man. That's the one. So he released this fucking document, and it's still available now as like a. I looked it up the other day actually just to make sure I wasn't talking to my ass when I came here, but and I reread it, and basically just shut on the boys, saying that we're tactically sound, and we're like all wanted to be and look like SF. We were lazy. Yeah, it was not good. And then from an engineer point of view, about halfway through the trip, we were copping a lot of strikes, like across the whole battle group. There was a lot of AD activity. And he'd come out and basically said that, look, we're going to go through with ADFIS, and any strikes from now on, we're going to look to attribute blame to somebody, and we're going to start charging you.
Is it the Taliban, though? Was they going to blame the Taliban?
Mm-mm. That was not an option, as it was either the searchers or the search commander. So you throw all that in the mix.
What? Chris Smith is the dude's name.
He was the CO of Turia. That's his name. And then the OC, the engineer squadron OC, was the one who came out and said that, we can't have any more strikes. We're going to start charging it. And I guess what it was maybe like an attempt to, like, I don't even know why. I don't even know why you'd say that, to be honest. Like, we didn't need motivation, mate. Like, not dying is good enough motivation to do your job.
But let's just say someone died in a strike, right?
Yep.
No one's fault, apart from the Taliban.
Yeah.
And then imagine if they did come through and were like, no, Josh, that was you, bro.
Yep.
Like, what? Oh, I killed my guy?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Like that, I mean, sitting here in a fucking podcast, I can think that far ahead, let alone like some dude sitting there writing these orders and coming up with some fucking dog shit like this.
Oh, man.
As if you couldn't foresee that being a fucking terrible idea.
Yep. Well, apparently you couldn't, right? And it was like, and this is where this betrayal comes back in, because I didn't realize it at the time, but both of those things, more so than the mission stuff, right? But both of those things affected me far more than what I thought they would, because of that betrayal that I had in my childhood. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we're in the middle of the fucking desert. You're supposed to, if you don't have my back, if my chain of command doesn't have my back, and like, I want to make a distinct, clear delineation here, because our direct chain of command were awesome. Like I said, the omelette commanders and all that sort of stuff, all the infantry boys, just fucking stand up, dude, all of them. But like at the higher levels, I'm like, if I know that you guys don't have my back, and in fact you're actively looking to nail me to the wall, like, who the fuck can I trust? What in the middle of this place? And that's what sort of really shifted my attitude towards, fuck, I'm all in and I want to, go down to SO and give that a crack, to like, man, if this can happen on ops in the middle of the desert and I'm out there literally like in a fairly
It's as real as it gets.
in a fairly risky role too, like I'm not doing the pay back at TK. Like if you can shit on the boys doing these sort of jobs, like what naturally, of course, it can happen back in Garrison. Of course, it can happen anywhere else. It can happen here. So,
Wow.
That's and that dented morale massively. I know across the engineer boys, I know that definitely, because at that point, like I said, we'd all been blown up. We'd all had strikes. We'd all missed stuff as well. So it made everyone go like, really question, like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So it was a tricky thing to navigate, and for me to get through that, I just made it about the boys. Honestly, like why we hit the mission. Okay, whatever. It's about making sure everyone gets home safe, making sure I do the best job I can on the road and searching so that we don't have that happen. That's the only thing I could sort of, I guess, tell myself and turn to keep doing it. Because otherwise, I was like, well, what's the point of going outside the wire anymore? What's the point of endangering ourselves? Like, if you're gonna charge me or try my best, like I don't want to lose my fucking legs. I don't want my mates to get blown up. Like, what is this shit? So, yeah, and it was only through later working that out that affected me so much. That moral injury tying back into that childhood stuff.
Yeah. It makes sense, right? You've just, like you said earlier, you sort of go into the military, this becomes this new family, you buy in, you're like, yeah, I'm accepted, I belong, all those sort of things. And then, mum and dad, for lack of a better term, are going like, better not fuck this up.
Yeah.
I'll kick the shit out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Throw your stuff on the front lawn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Because, mate, betrayal, it's a fucking heavy word, man. And that's the mechanism might have changed, but the emotion's the same.
Exactly right. And I didn't think of that at the time. I just know the emotions that I had, and I couldn't tie that back to that. But I just know that it really, really upset me. Because I'm like, again, like the parents doing it to their kids. It's like, how could you think that was a good idea? How could you think that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what will motivate the men. Let's tell them we're going to charge them with manslaughter. Like,
yeah. Like put that in a news article, you know. Oh, Australian soldier kills other Australian soldier. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right, man. So, so that sort of really changed my view and my sort of, wouldn't say my attitude. Like I said, the mission for me and the reason to do that sort of just shifted, or the emphasis shifted to just. It was always about safety, naturally, of course, but it was like, man, this is the goal. Just make sure we all get home safe. Wherever we go, whatever we do, just make sure we're doing our best to get everyone home.
Yeah,
and that's sort of what got me through the rest of the trip, anyway.
Well, it sort of reminds me, people are like, it's not about X, Y, Z, it's about the man next to you. It's true, because maybe the mission is fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Look what happened. They pulled it out 2 weeks later. It's all gone.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe at the time the intentions were pure. Mission might have seemed great. In retrospect, it obviously didn't happen. But sometimes, like it happened to you in real time, the mission turns into bullshit.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean? Like it's. So what do you got left?
Yeah, that's it.
It's just about me and the lads.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah. And you're right. Look, and I think now after doing this work, you look at it and you go, well, none of that shit's within your control. Really, none of it is. Like the mission staff, the command staff, none of it is in. Like, so understanding that and trying to put that aside, is a little bit is helpful as well. To go, well, I mean, actually, what can I control? Just how I act and behave.
Yeah, that's all you got. Just the fucking mind lab, man.
That's it.
Yeah,
exactly right. Just focus on that and get to it.
And what about the we'll take a break a minute too,
man.
if you're cool, man. I just want to ask one more thing.
Yep.
What about the green on blue? So you guys had a green on blue, pretty significant one too. You guys lost three dudes. Same thing happened to my trip. Lost 3 dudes.
Yeah.
Can you? Were you privy to? Were you close to that?
No. So that was no. I didn't know him. And for us, we were actually out on task when that happened and came over the radio. I remember it distinctly because it came across as 10 cat alphas on the radio, and it was like, fuck, what's going on there? And as you know, like when something like comes over the radio, everyone else shuts up, listens. And yeah, so for those boys, from what I know, what I got told was they were out on parade, morning parade, and that insider attack happened. He just opened up with a submachine gun and ended up hitting 10 guys, 10 Aussies, and the 3 unfortunately lost their life. I think they ended up capping the dude, which is good. But that's another complexity. So that had happened once, I think. On the way in, it was the cook, Corporal Jones.
Yeah.
That was right before. I think it was May before we came in on our trip. So it was a thing.
In June, yeah.
It was a thing, but not like obviously he lost his life in that way, but it hadn't been a repeated tactic at that point. So we had our issues with ANAs as everybody did out at the patrol base at Korea. That had a few mutinies and a few issues and a bit of argy-bargy and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, mate, once that happened, just another layer of complexity. You talk about, we've got the Taliban, we've got command, we've got now the ANA, and it's just like the threat is fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And it made things complex, difficult to navigate.
That's betrayal.
Yeah.
That's another bit of betrayal. Yeah.
And once again, like our mission was to mentor the partner force, right? And build their skills to a point that they could eventually hold the ground themselves. And then all of a sudden, Taliban's infiltrating them. Who do you know who's who? You got no fucking idea. So I think the environment and that complexity in the environment contributed to a lot of, and this is obviously not founded, but I think it's contributed to a lot of people struggling from that trip in particular, because it's difficult to navigate and make sense of at the time.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think people like us can handle trauma. We can handle, for the most part, this thing happened. It was bad, I can either deal with it because I'm tough, or I can deal with it because I can process it. But I think it's that sort of stuff that you weren't prepared for, right? It's organisational betrayal. Sometimes when you get back, it's society betrays you. Yeah, man. I've always held that belief that some of those things that we don't have to think about are the most traumatic, the things that impact us the most.
I was thinking about this on the way down today, man, and it's and this will ring true, especially in the later parts of like when I transferred to Fireys. And it's the same thinking about now military as well. We get trained for the trauma. We get trained for it. We know it's part of the job. We know how to not that we know how to deal with it as such, but we know that it's there. We know it's coming, and we know that it goes with the job. We don't necessarily know about the organisational betrayal. We don't necessarily know about the societal betrayal. We don't necessarily know about those complexities in the environment, or like I said about the command. We don't know that's going to happen. We're not privy to that, and we're not trained in it. We're not trained how to deal with it. We're not even made aware that it could happen. You know what I mean? Because you get into any of these organisations, and it's like, hey, welcome to the family. This is the best. We love you. This is the place to be. You know what I mean?
Family, brotherhood, thin blue line.
Whatever it is. Put your slogan,
choice, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever it is, and so we get trained for the trauma, but we don't get trained for any of the other stuff. So when and to your point, when it comes and when it happens, I think that's why it probably has a greater effect. Because A, we're either not expecting it, and B, we're not trained in how to deal with it. We don't understand how to process it, how to deal with it.
absolutely shameless plug here, by the way. But that's literally the shit I talk about in my fucking tactical wellbeing workshop.
Yep.
It's not necessarily like gunfight, death, etc., etc. It's little things you don't think about. It's shame, it's guilt. You're fucking embarrassed. Maybe you didn't have the opportunity, you know what I mean? Or you don't notice that you're different. Maybe you weren't expecting to lose some guys to fucking friendly fire, you know, organisation betrayal, all those sort of things, man. I just think, like, yeah, PTSD. I get it. It's a thing. It hurts. It sucks. But if you look at something like that, to a degree, there's a playbook. There's a diagnosis. There's a list of what it is. You know, you can put parameters around that thing to a degree. But some of the other stuff, I mean, just talking about shame, for example, you know, imagine if you get back from that trip and you feel embarrassment or shame. I can't believe I fucking went over there. This happened, that happened. Got betrayed by the organisation. You know, whatever it is. Like, there's no playbook for that.
Yeah.
Like, who's going on a podcast telling a cool story about shame?
Yeah, no one.
100%. Yeah. No, I appreciate that story, man, because it just fucking hammers home a point that I don't think we fucking hammer home enough.
No, not at all, man.
That I think hurts people so much more than the gunfights, the death and the explosions and, you know, whatever.
And to your point, and this is me, word according to me, it's probably completely fucking not correct, but maybe some of these diagnoses is more so in that shame and guilt, but it's easier to talk about or easier to attribute it to the trauma than it is the shame and the guilt. You know, maybe we might not even be aware about the shame, the guilt, or the some of these other betrayal aspects. Like, I certainly wasn't I was aware of it. I felt like I knew I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it could have been, and it took a little bit of working through with therapists and stuff like that to work that shit out. But, you know, if I don't talk about that, recognize that, it's easy for me to talk about getting blown up, being in contact, like all those sort of things. And it's easy to, like you said, for people to get that diagnosis, because that's easy. It's there. It's ready made. Whereas this other stuff might not be as forthcoming, and people might not realize it themselves even.
Yeah.
Or may not realize the impact that it has.
Well, I mean, think about, you know, you've obviously raised kids. Think about what you do with your kids when they're young. You're like, oh, you're feeling frustrated, or you're feeling angry. I feel sad. You know, you can name these emotions, real basic shit, right? Which we don't fucking do because we're retarded. But we teach our kids to do it. Yeah. We don't do it till we're in our fucking 30s, right? But if you don't have a name for that thing, if there's no label, if there's no list of what's the word I'm after? Like symptoms, so to speak, you know, like if nobody said, you know, you would describe that, oh, I did this thing and it was a betrayal and da-da-da, maybe you didn't even use those words, for example. How the fuck would you come to terms with that and fix it, so to speak, if you don't even know what it is? You know, I think it's one of those hidden enemies, mate, you know, because when we love the over-diagnosis of the PTSD thing, which I've never had PTSD, but I'm sure it's fucking painful. Yep. But I think we can deal with PTSD. I don't think we can deal with shame or embarrassment or guilt or betrayal, you know, or fucking whatever else.
Yeah, I think also the word shame in of itself is not one that we use very much.
Shameful word.
Exactly right, mate. Like, even just to admit that shame, guilt, embarrassment, those things by their nature are not nice. They're not nice to feel. They're not nice to say, really. You know what I mean? Like, they're not comfortable, and they're not things that we talk about regularly either.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, harken back to your point, it's like we can easily talk about trauma because that's what we know, and it's easy to sort of, I shouldn't say it's easy to talk about trauma, but it's easy to talk about those events rather than, oh, hey, I'm actually really guilty. I feel really shameful, or I'm really embarrassed about that. Like, it's fucking hard to say that shit. And so maybe that sort of lends into it as well.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to be vulnerable enough to say that you feel that way.
There are some very brave individuals on the cutting edge of this stuff. You were talking to one of them right now. But,
another shameless plug.
Rotten. Real question though, is that something that you went through? Is this the sort of stuff that you've spoken to? Because obviously you've talked about therapy, being very proactive, obviously, and this sort of stuff. Delved into some stuff, childhood, etc. Are those some themes maybe you've encountered in that process?
Yeah, for sure. I have encountered those definitely, and it's probably more so around those feelings are around struggling itself, I would say, because like, you know what it's like, man. You go and do these things in these groups of people, and we by and large have similar experiences, and if the culture is not one that's geared towards being open and honest about, you know, your experiences and the way you're feeling, to look at others like who are not struggling while you are, I think that's where the shame and the guilt and embarrassment can come in. Be like, hey, we all did, or, you know, you and I, we were together, we did the same thing. How come you're all good, or you seem to be all good, you look all good, but I'm not? You know, I think there's a lot of shame and guilt and embarrassment around that. I think there could be, you know, a lot more people that are potentially affected than let on as well. So, yeah, I think there's a little bit of, for me more so is like, hey, I'm struggling. Why? Why are you not? Why is he not? Why is he like thriving? Why is he looks like he's killing it after that? Why? You know, I think it's probably a little bit of like attached to that more so than shame and guilt and embarrassment about doing what I did. That makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like I've got a term for that, and I call it the identity reality disparity. So you've got this idea about who you're supposed to be and what you want to be,
yep.
But your perceived reality is, you know, like I'm supposed to be this fucking gunfighter, awesome, you know, fucking engineer guy,
yep.
But I feel these feelings. I don't know what the fuck they are. And then there's this big gap there. And that, like you just said it then, you're like, there's a lot of shame in there. It's like, I'm supposed to be this guy. I'm supposed to be that dude. You're that guy, but I'm not that guy. What the fuck's going on here? Why am I a piece of shit? You know what I mean? Why am I struggling? I shouldn't be. Yeah. And I think you're right. That's where a lot of that shame, that guilt and embarrassment, whatever, all those ugly, scary words.
Yeah.
You feel them in there. Yeah. Alrighty, guys, welcome back from our piss break. For us, it was about 10 minutes. For people listening, it's about fucking 0 minutes.
10 seconds.
Yeah. Mate, so obviously we wrapped up a few minutes ago, mate, talking about, you know, those sort of uncommon feelings, the subjectivity of experience, et cetera. Anything else about that trip you want to knock on the head before we move on to the next bit?
Nah, mate, I think that's pretty good. There's a couple of other like experiences in there, but I think I've talked enough shit about that. So, yeah, mate, nah, we can move on.
Okay. Yeah. Nah, good. Yeah, sweet. All right. Well, yeah. So obviously getting back from the trip, mate. Any crazy stuff going on there, adjustment wise?
There was, mate. Actually, I knew pretty soon when I got back. I was like, things are a bit off. Yep. I had just like some emotional dysregulation. I remember a couple of times, like my missus was, you know, just simple shit. What do you want for dinner? And it would just like set me off. I'd be either angry, upset, sad. Like sometimes I could just go and cry. I'm like, what is going on with me? No idea. Like, no idea why. So yeah, a little bit of emotional dysregulation, a bit of sleep, a few sleep troubles. Was, you know, waking up big sweats of pools of sweat of a night time and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a few little bits and pieces, a bit of rumination going on and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I had a little bit going on, and I didn't share it with anybody.
Well, why would you?
Why would you? Exactly right. Exactly right. Nobody. Didn't tell anybody whatsoever.
Yeah. And then obviously you weren't proactive about it in terms of going and get help and whatnot. So
as you are aware, when you come back from these things, you have a post-operational psychological screen, POPs, within 3 months. So ours was a little bit later towards the end of that 3 months. It wasn't straight away. And this stuff was going on. And I actually thought, fuck it, I'm going to tell this dude what's going on. Because I knew something was up. I'm like, this is the things that are happening to me are not me, and it's not normal. It didn't happen before the trip. Something's changed. Something's off.
Sorry, just to cut in. This is immediately out of country, or is this a few months later?
A few months later. So
Gotcha.
we had a mid-trip psych.
Yep.
So they pulled us in. It was on the way out to Rockall, actually. And basically they just said, are you sleeping, eating and exercising? Like, yep. And then that was our psych, mid-trip psych. And then, it's when we get back in Australia, within 3 months, you got to have a psychological screen. And like I said, that was maybe 2 months after we got back or whatever, 6-8 weeks. And this stuff sort of wasn't going away. And I thought, oh, damn it. I'll say something that's confidential, whatever. None of the other boys need to know. So I told him this, the guy doing it. And man, I obviously wasn't in the right spot to receive this. I shared some of these things with him. I'm like, man, struggling a bit. And he comes back and he goes, oh, you know what, Josh? He goes, you know what I like to do after a hard day?
It already sounds promising, mate.
I was like, what's that?
Cold beer. Some scotch.
It wasn't quite there. He goes, mate, I like to hop in the shower and pretend that the water washes all the shit off me from that day. Hop out of the shower and it's all good. And like I said, that bit of advice is probably great advice, but I was not at that point ready to hear that from someone who had no contextual relevance to my experience. I'm like, that's great to say that from where you're sitting, but all you did was make me angry. So I left there. I didn't take his advice.
Really?
No,
surprisingly
really? Not.
You didn't fucking just wash it all off?
Straight to the SALs for a shower. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Well, if you're listening.
Like I said, sure, it's great advice. Didn't work.
It's just straight up shit advice as well.
Cool. I just, in that point in time, that came across as like, fuck, you're not hearing me, man. Like, especially for someone to say something, like I felt like to open up and say that to somebody, especially in that cultural context where you know that there's a chance if you put your hand up and go, hey, I'm having some issues, that could potentially end up in you losing your job, right? So, like, for someone to open up and say that, I think that shouldn't be lost on people who are listening and then hearing that. It's like, well, fuck, it's actually a pretty big deal for some of these people to come forward and say that. And it was a big deal for me. Like I said, I didn't tell anybody. I'm like, oh man, I'm keeping this shit under wraps for that reason, right? Because my girlfriend, now wife, was suffering a chronic health condition as well, like a chronic pain condition. And the stress from me being deployed, her health went downhill rapidly. So when I got back, I was like, fuck. I had no skills. I knew I couldn't get out. But I also knew that something was up as well. I was like, what's going on? So I was sort of telling him in the hope of maybe sorting this out, maybe sort of getting some direction on like what could be going on. Instead I got that. So I thought, right, I'll just double down and shut my mouth, because either A, it's not like I'm just whinging and it's not worth exploring, or he didn't think it was worth exploring. So maybe I am just a fucking pussy, or, the alternative is I couldn't really go and fuck, I don't know. I have to edit that out. Edit that out.
No, I know what you mean, mate. Yeah. I mean, it's, if we're talking vulnerability and that whole that shame sort of thing before, you've taken a big leap.
I felt like it was at the time.
Yeah.
It was at the time for me, because like I said, I was in that environment where, man, like you look around and you can't help compare yourself to the other guys. You're like, man, this bloke got shot in the neck. This bloke did this, did that, whatever. Like, who am I to be feeling like this? You know what I mean? So that's probably why I didn't bring it up with any of the boys. So I got that answer. So I just went away and did nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. But, well, maybe it's not worth doing anything about it. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it won't. And like I said, all the stuff through the trip had led me to go, well, I don't really align with this stuff anymore. Like I'm not, if that can happen, if these, those like, particularly those command things can happen overseas, they can happen here. I don't like the way that felt. I don't want to keep being in this environment, but I also can't leave as well. I'm completely unskilled. I've got like, and my missus can't work either. So, luckily, we got back March. In May, June, a signal came out for transfers for trades. So they needed people who were pre-qualified engineers to then who were interested in doing electrical, carpentry, plumbing. So I was like, well, that's my fucking ticket out of here. Whacked in transfer within a couple of weeks, got notification it was successful. So posted out 2013 down to training command in Albury, which was really good, which is good going to training command because I knew from that betrayal point of view that like it wasn't a thing. Training command, you got very clear like relationship with like your instructors and stuff like that. It's not, those lines are not blurred. They're very clear. So I knew where I stood. That's cool. I was much happier with that. But what it was very isolating to go from that tight-knit group that we were in, because they kept the squadron together when we came back from the trip for the year. And we just all had this shared understanding and we just bonded pretty tight. And then to just be plucked out of that and go down to training command where I essentially I knew one other dude, was very isolating. As well. There's a lot of younger boys that had just come straight out of training. There's a couple of retreads and stuff like that, but I didn't know them. So I was down there for 18 months. It was really good initially. Kept my mind super busy. I was really busy. Just diving into the work, distracting myself. But towards the end of that 18 months, things sort of started to, well, I guess, come back for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
When the familiarity and the comfortability sort of comes in and, things are not shiny and new anymore, of like moving to a new place and
honeymoon period, yeah.
Sort of wears off. But luckily, 18 months, posted up to Sydney to the next phase of the training. Good to go again. New, shiny, distracting, dive into the work. Mate, it was perfect. It was awesome. And so the way it works there, up in Sydney, they farm you out to civvy contractors. So essentially your first part of training, you're doing all of your TAFE, all of your schooling in one big block for 18 months. Then they flick you up to Sydney out of Holsworthy and they send you out with civilian tradesmen and you just go and work with them like you're a civvy, essentially. Rock up on the job site, do all the learning, and you just do 2 days a month. You're essentially a reservist back on base. Pretty good gig. It was actually really cathartic because a lot of the tradies would just hit you up, go, oh, what's your backstory? What's your history? So I got to like we're doing now, talk a lot of shit, talk about stories and just get a lot of that out, which is really helpful.
Yeah.
But again, like the betrayal sort of reared its head because my wife, her pain condition, so we'd been from Townsville to Albury, small towns, lacking sort of decent medical support that you'd get in a larger metropolitan centre like Brisbane or Sydney or whatever.
Specialist sort of people.
Specialist,
yeah. For that kind of condition.
Got to Sydney, got a diagnosis, and she needed to go and get essentially like this a craniotomy. So they basically drill a hole in the back of her skull, go into her brain, and she's got some issues with her nerves, like it's nerve pain, neuralgia, and so she had to go in surgery for that. And I remember she'd had one, whereas I think that fell during a period of leave or whatever. Like that was cool. I could be at home and look after and that. And then she had to have another one on the other side, which was like, I don't know, maybe 12 months later, whatever. Anyway, I went to the, it just so happened that surgery fell like a week before we were due to go in on those 2 days on base and do AIRN shoots, BFA, just spend a couple of days getting compliant.
Yeah.
And so I was tracking this. I was like, oh, that's a week out. I need to be at home looking after it because, balance is off and dexterity, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, playing with the brain, neurology, 100%. Yeah, it's no joke.
So I did what a good dig does. I went and organised and found booked in to do BFA and ARN in my own time, like a couple of weeks before, whatever, and went to the troop sergeant and said, "Oh, hey, my wife's getting this surgery. It's a week out. These days are coming up week after." I said, "I've organised to do my BFA before her surgery, so I'll be compliant. Is it all good if I don't come in there?" "Oh, no. You got to come in here." "Oh, is that so? Why?" I said, "Like I've organised it. I'll get it all done." "No, it's important you're in here." And mind you, he was on half days looking after his wife who had a bad back. And he goes, "Oh, it's 8 days post surgery. She'll be okay." He literally said this. And I said,
I can do that.
I said to
You
him,
tell the doctor.
that's what I said. I said, "Where's your neurosurgeon qualification, Sarge?" He goes, "Oh, no, she'll be right." I said, "Fuck, righto." So he goes, "What we can do, you show up, just you'll be on the first serial, and then you can go home." I said, "Oh, geez, that thanks." So
That's much better.
yeah, it's much better. So anyway, like standard, mate. I rocked up, and there was no less than 5 other people who were not there. Like, "Oh, where's Jono? Oh, he's got a sick dog. Oh, where's fucking where's Mick? Oh, his toenail's a bit sore, so he can come in." And I'm fucking fuming, mate. Absolutely fuming. So, and again, it's that betrayal, right? I'm like, motherfucker, like I'm not making this up. I'm not a linger. I'm not trying to fucking just get out of this shit. Like, I've got a legit thing going on at home. I've given you a legit solution. So it's not going to impede anyone or anything. And he said, "No, just because." And the fact that like he was already on half days. Oh, my fucking piss is boiling.
Was he a sack too?
Yep.
Yeah. Classic.
Proper, mate. Like, yeah. So anyway, I rocked in and did the fucking shoot. Went home, jumped on the computer, put in my application for the Fireys. I was like, I'm not fucking doing this anymore. I'm fucking done. And again, it was like that, just that feeling of betrayal. Like, I'd had a pretty good run through the rest of it after leaving Townsville, and like I said, training command, sweet, no worries. And then that happened. I'm like, no, just not playing the game anymore. I'm out. So that day I went home and put the application in for to become a Fiery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
never look back.
Never look back. Never look back. So yeah, mate, that process, and knowing full well that process can take years to get into the Fireys. So that took somewhere between 18 months and 2 years from putting that in to being on the truck.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was just timing too. Like, when I put that application in, the process didn't kick off. I think that was from memory, like in October. The process didn't kick off until, I want to say, like a March, April the next year. And then every element to get in is like 6 weeks apart. So there's that whole year taken up in application. And then depending what course you take, if you get in the following year. So that's why it's such a lengthy sort of process. It's not a chuck your app in and you're in next week type thing. So
yeah. I'm fit, I'm smart, good to go. Yeah, there's a million
send me
fit, smart people. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, mate, that was the day that I said no more and chucked that in.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, got through all that, all the testing and all that sort of stuff relatively easily, I guess. Just for each phase, whatever it was, I just apply myself to that task and get in. I like, again, with the military, didn't have any childhood fantasies about being a fiery. I'd sort of done some work experience at a car dealership when I was 16 with one of my old man's, like a family friend. He was the manager there. And he had actually, not long after that, transferred from that dealership into the ACT Fireys. And I remember him talking about, like, he loved the job and he was a really stand-up dude, just a really nice, genuine guy. So that was the only impression or interaction I'd had with anybody from emergency services, like in that sort of capacity. So that sort of stuck with me. And then it was one of the other boys from the engineer regiment chucked in to the Fireys as well. So a little bit of piqued interest there, but definitely not like I grew up wanting to do that.
Like your next big dream kind of thing.
Yeah, it was just sort of a natural progression. It was like, hey, perhaps this is my skills and experiences can be somewhat utilized or whatever in this other role. Maybe it will allow us to stop moving around, and maybe it will, remove me from the environment that I'm in, and I'll still get to be in a service role and be of help to others. So that was like my thinking. I was like, let's give it a go, because I need to sort of move away from this environment. It's not healthy. It's not helping me. It just keeps happening over and over again. So time to do something about it. So yeah.
Yeah. It might sound like a silly question, but I know that Fireys is extremely competitive to get into. Why?
Large number of applicants, low number of job vacancies. So pretty much, and there's a low attrition rate too. So once people get in, they generally, it's a long-term career. It's not unheard of for guys to do over 40 years, 30, 40 years, depending on what age they get in. So low attrition rates. And then, like I said, you might have an intake of, it's been a bit different for the agency that I worked for over the last few years. There've been a big intake because they've increased numbers. But prior to that, historically, you might have a campaign where there's, 90 vacant spots, and you'll just get 5,000 people apply. So I'm pulling that number out of my ass, but it'll be in the thousands. Yeah. They'll be in the thousands. So that's why it's hard to get in, just because of the sheer volume and whittling people down to 5,000, down to 100, whatever those actual numbers are. Just that ratio is quite big.
And is that just because it's a fucking awesome job?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah. Why not? Look, I think it appeals to people. Like, it's obviously a service role. It's also a government job, but there's also it is a good job, and I think generally by society people look up to that job role as well. So I think there's a lot of people, and it'd be the same for the military. It'd be the same for police, ambulance as well. There's people who just look up to those jobs and want to do it. And I think there's a bit of romance around those jobs as well sometimes. So yeah, I just think maybe that's why a lot of people try and get into it.
Yeah. And like sometimes with like cops or ambos, or maybe not ambos, I know for cops, for example, they a lot of the time they have these big recruiting drives because their numbers are down, retention rates and that type of stuff. Does that ever happen to the Fireys, or is it pretty consistently just like, it's a fucking awesome job, 1,000 applicants, maybe it'd go from 5,000 down to 2,000, 3,000 or something, for example?
It's so up until recently, there's a big drive. That's only because they've increased their numbers. There's been more stations open, and whatnot. But generally, it's pretty stable. And so what might happen historically as well, they might open it up. They might have like a big intake. Let's just say 30 years ago, there was a huge intake, right? And then not many people leave. So it's like
they've still got,
little intake. And then all those dudes from 30 years ago are all coming up to because we've got mandatory retirement age at 65, right? So say all of those guys that joined up 30 years ago are hitting that 60 to 65 and they're out. It's like, now we need another recruitment drive. So it'll wax and wane depending on retention, attrition, and then also population growth, like actual new stations opening and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of call it the recruiting is like dark arts. You don't really know how it works, how many, who's, all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, waxes and wanes, but by and large, the ratio is always more people than jobs, and that's why it's tricky. Some people take, a few goes to get in, and sometimes they've got like a merit list as well, and it's like a rolling merit list. So you might apply 1 year, and say if there's 100 spots and you're 101 on the merit list, theoretically that would put you at number 1 for the next year. But if they run another campaign drive and then there's another 100 people that beat you on the merit list, it's different now.
You could just never ending, just roll back.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think it's a little bit different now. I think they reset it every year, but that's how it was for a little while too. So that's why it was hard for some people to get in, because it depends on who's applied and how they've scored and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, gotcha.
But yeah.
And maybe in a few years, mate, when you get out, I'll rip into the fiery stuff a bit more. I won't harass you about it today because you still work there, and I don't want to talk out of school or anything like that. But
good.
Just probably the only real question is, what's like the no bullshit reality of the day to day? Like good jobs, bad jobs. Long periods of inactivity, that sort of stuff.
So day to day, we do 2-day shifts, 2 night shifts, and 4 days off. The best thing about it is that you don't know what you're going to go to, and we have a wide scope of things that we go to. So the way I try to explain to people is like, if there's someone breaking the law, the cops will go. If there's someone that needs medical help, the ambulance will go. Anything else, we'll go.
No shit.
No shit. So like, man, we go to anything and everything, from rescuing animals. Like the other night, we pulled 10 ducklings out of a drain, for example. So that was pretty cool. Like one of the nicer jobs we go to, I pulled people out of, stuck in mud, dressed as a fucking pirate. We save birds out of trees. Obviously, the fire is obviously a big thing. What we do, car fires, building fires, all that sort of stuff. Car crashes is another one.
Yeah.
We do a lot of, they're probably the more traumatic ones. And along with fires, obviously, where there's people trapped inside or whatever, they're like the pointy end of the stick, so to speak. We do a lot of assisting the ambulance. So, and police as well. Like if they get welfare checks, or if they need to check on a member of the public and they're inside and they can't get in, we'll often go and make entry for them, stuff like that. So we'll support police in, sieges and stuff like that. Or if there's like people threatening to light things on fire, like if they've barricaded themselves and they're like, I've got a jerry can of petrol and a lighter, so we'll go and stand by there for that sort of stuff. So we don't know what we're going to go to. It's always something different, and that's probably the best part of the job, I reckon. There can be, depending where you're stationed, can be long periods of inactivity, but you never know. Sometimes you go for a patch where it's relatively quiet, and then you go through a patch of being busy where you're going to a fire every tour, or fire, every 2 tours or something like that. So yeah, it's good. You can never pick it.
Yeah,
you never pick it. So,
and I guess with like cops, ambos, you're going to go to someone breaking the law. There's something bad happening. It's their worst day, etc. Ambos, someone's hurt. It's not good. There's blood involved, broken bones, whatever. But they're not rescuing 10 fucking ducklings out of a drain, or pulling a cat out of a tree or something.
No, that's right. Funny enough, we get more birds out of trees than cats.
Really?
Yeah. They just tangle themselves up in fishing wire or whatever. But yeah, I've rescued way more birds than cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, cats can generally get themselves down most of the time. Yeah. And they generally don't like to come down for us anyway. So
that's you get the cops to just shoot them out of the tree.
I've shot one out of the tree with the hose line once. I'll never do it again. Yeah. I tried to in front of about 30 kids as well. The owner was not having a bite. I said, we can't get this cat out. I had an arborist on the crew. I was in charge, and I hit him up I said, mate, can we get a ladder up there to get this cat down? He goes, no, can't do it. So I went back to the owner. Well, actually, she wasn't the owner. It was like a housing commission, like a block of 4 units. And there was like a African families living there with, like I said, like 20 kids all watching. I went up to her and I said, look, we can't get this cat out. We can't get a ladder up there. Look, just put some food there. It'll come down. She goes, oh, look, we've already put food there. It's been there for 3 days. And I said, no, I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. And she goes, can you shoot it out with the water? And I said, look, it's
Technically, yes.
I said, technically, yes, but there's 2 things that are going to happen. I said, it's either going to go higher and not come down, or it's going to fall out, or both. Actually, there's 3 things that are going to happen. And she goes, I don't care. Just do it. And I said, sure. She goes, yep, do it. So we got the hose off and we shot the cat. And what happened? It went higher.
All 3.
Oh, fucking 3, mate. From 2 stories up in the air, and this thing, it just came down and fell on the other side of their fence with fucking almighty thud. And I said to the boys, I said, fucking pack up. We got to go. I don't know what's going to happen here.
Shit.
And anyway, the next door, the neighbour's yard that it fell in, picked it up and come around and give it back to me. It was fine, thankfully. But I learned a very valuable lesson. Do not shoot cats out of trees.
Yeah.
You could potentially hurt it. But yeah, mate, it's a great job. It's a good roster. And we're always doing different things. It's good.
Yeah, love it, man. Yeah. Like I said, mate, maybe sometime in the future, man, I'd love to chat more about Fireys and get into some of the nitty gritty.
Yep.
I won't today, partly in respect of your time, partly in respect of your profession. So, mate, we'll wrap it up. I've got 3 questions for you.
Yep.
First one's, what's your service mean to you, bro? Having served in 2 different agencies now.
I've heard you ask this on your other episodes. I've had a bit of a think about it, and my service, I'm just grateful to be able to do it, to be honest. I think about it, and I think about both the military and the fire service, and there's so many people who do look up to that and do want to do that, and they're not able to do that for whatever reason. Like, there's people that just, they live and breathe it and would give anything to be able to serve and help other people, and they can't for whatever reason. And I look at it and go, well, I've been lucky enough to do those things, and I'm grateful that I've been able and willing to do that. So I'm grateful for the experiences that I've been able to have and the things that I've been able to do because of it. And in terms of like what it means to me, this is something that I'm working on. I'm proud of it, but I'm trying not to attach too much meaning to it either, because I'm more than that. And while service is important, I'm proud of it. I'm grateful for it, and I've genuinely enjoyed it. It's also, I'm trying to work on, like, it's just a job as well, and there's a start, there's a middle, and there's an end to it. So, I love it. I'm grateful. I've enjoyed it. I do enjoy it.
That's good.
I hope that makes sense.
No, gratitude, man. I agree. Yeah, I think that's, it feels like that's been the consistent theme when I ask that question. People are just grateful that they've got to do it. Yeah. And the other 2 questions, mate, I'm going to let you fill the blanks in here, mate.
Hold on. You put me on the spot here. Well, which one do you want to go with? There's either the identity.
Yeah. Who are you outside your service, Josh? Outside all that?
I'm a dad, proud husband. And I also am growing to be a more and more avid jiu-jitsu hobbyist as well. So I've been doing that for about 2 years.
Nice.
And a bit over 2 years, and just frothing it, man. I love it. It's a good outlet.
Awesome.
I've recently started volunteering for a non-for-profit at running or helping to run sort of jiu-jitsu sessions for defence and first responders out of my gym too. So
nice.
Trying to get more and more guys and girls from the service community into jiu-jitsu and building a bit of a, I guess, a common hobby outside of work, so where we can connect and support, I guess, mental health and your physical health outside of the job as well. So yeah, man,
that's good, man.
But yeah, just trying to really prioritize my family as well. Trying to put as much time and effort. I've got young kids, man, and just want to be present there for them.
Yeah, man. Present say.
Yep.
You can't beat it, dude.
Yep. I just want them to be able to say that Dad was around and he was there, he was helpful, he loved us. I just want to be there for them as they grow up.
No, that's perfect, man. And the last one, dude. What about advice, mate? I'm pretty sure I stole this question from your.
I was thinking that when I heard it. I'm
from
like,
your potty. You were like,
hey,
hang on a minute.
hey.
I invented that.
I stole it from someone else. But,
exactly.
Originality is very rare. So, what's that saying? Imitation is
flattery.
Yeah, whatever.
I swear, when I first asked that question on this potty, I was thinking of you and Jason.
Yes.
Dogs.
I thought the same thing when I heard you say it. It was like, Tom the fucking dog. I know where we got
fucking dog.
Oh, no.
Go on, mate. What do you got for your younger self or just someone going into those jobs?
I would say invest in yourself as a whole. Again, I know that this question was coming. I was thinking about it a little bit and what would be helpful to me, but also everyone else, I think as well, is it's easy to invest in our domain-specific skills or our technical ability and our physical fitness. Easy to delve in that, over-invest in that sometimes even. And I'm not saying anything should come at the cost of being physically capable and technically proficient. But I would advise anyone coming into these roles is to have a look at other areas of your life and yourself and your character and invest just as much into that as you do into your physical and technical proficiency. Things like your mindset, things like your identity, things like your hobbies and interests outside of your role, because you are more than your role. That is what you do. That is not who you are. So I'd say invest in those areas, develop your character, develop your identity, and I think that'll pay dividends, because those things outside of your job role may end up outlasting that job role.
100%.
Sorry, the other thing I missed is investing in your family, your friends, your relationships, and your networks as well, because like it is guaranteed that your role, whatever it is, will end, and what will be left is your identity, your character, your family, your friends, your hobbies, and your interests.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much perfect, man.
I think that would be, if I had my time over again, go and have a look and investing in those things. Like, yep, be all about your job, be professional, be proficient, chase being good at what you do, of course, but man, also invest in yourself too.
Yeah, perfect, dude. I like it.
Thanks, man.
Joshy, let's wrap it up, mate. Let's get you home.
Yes.
Get you living. Get you living your life, mate. I'll press the stop button here. Yeah, mate. Thanks so much, bro, for being on the potty, man.
Thanks for inviting me.
Good dude. Awesome. And then everyone watching at home, see you next time. Thanks for listening to that episode. We've got more episodes on the way. In the meantime, check out warriorsandwardens.com for keynote speaking or workshops for operational readiness and longevity in military or first responder teams using emotional well-being and sharing lived experience. I'm your host, Tom Brown. See you next time.